Hey guys, in this video, we're going to be talking about our dream house.
Hey, welcome. I'm Carrie and this is Doug. And if you're new to our channel, we're living the urban life here in the Denver, Colorado area, and we just purchased property in Arizona, southeast part of Arizona, and we're getting ready to sell our house and go move to Arizona and go off grid. And it's going to happen pretty soon, I think. So if you're new, we'd love it if you'd give us a subscribe, and if you like this video at the end, please give it a thumbs up. And here we go.
Right, so in this video, we you'll see we're sketching out some dream ideas of a house and figuring out what's important for us, what rooms we want and all this good stuff. And looking at the layout of the land, we're trying to fit this structure, our idea, our dreams into this, into the contour of the land, instead of trying to go in there with a bulldozer and just flatten everything out and put it in. But as you can see, we're drawing our plans. We're going to just kind of give you some ideas of where our mind's at.
Yeah, so we've talked about it in earlier videos that what we're going to be building is a Hyperadobe earth bag house. So that also kind of dictates the form and the structure of the house. But lucky for us, we have Doug, who is super creative and very artistic. I'm not at all.
Yeah, she is.
Just in different ways, but he's really good at drawing things and having things in his mind and be able to get it on paper and then visualizing what the 3D of that looks like. I'm not so good at that. But anyway, we've had several kind of prototypes that we've mocked up, and we've kind of settled on this one so far, as we feel like it's the best design. In fact, we've got a whiteboard. It's kind of right behind me there. You can kind of see. That was one of the earlier versions. So we've been working on this because we want to go ahead and put our permit request into the county for the owner builder opt-out permit that we're going to be getting. And we needed to have some sort of plan to be able to do that.
Yeah, and just to let you know, this is not set in stone at all. This is not to scale. I'm going to refine these blueprints further in the future, and real, like our courtyard and our bedrooms and all this, we want it to be a certain size space, not too huge, obviously. But this blueprint, what we're going to be looking at today, is not set in stone. It's not to scale either. So some of the rooms are going to appear bigger than what they will be in the final draft, but let's just get on to it, why we did it this way. One of the very first things or concepts that I wanted to incorporate in this house is the sun and how it tracks in the sky, particularly down in Arizona. You can look this up on the internet, where the sun comes up from the east and sets in the west, and where it will be in the summer as opposed to the winter. And you want to design your house, if you want it to be solar efficient, you want it to go with that tracking of the sun, both in winter solstice and in summer solstice. So you want your windows on the eastern side and the western side. So that's kind of where we were at on the shape of the house, is actually designed so that in the summer, the hot part of the summer, the sun will be directly over the house, and that's where there will be no windows, they'll be exposed, no heat will be coming in through those windows because they'll be under eaves. And during the winter time, you want the opposite. You want as much sun to come in through the southern side as possible. So we designed this building so that our greenhouse is on the south side, and so will the majority of our windows.
So along those same lines, we've decided there won't really be any windows on the north side of the home. And that's just because that's going to be the dark side anyway, and that's where the sleeping areas are, and we kind of want to keep it darker and therefore cooler. That will also help with protecting the house from winds that come from, I believe they come predominantly from the north. Is that correct?
In the winter time, yeah.
In the winter, yeah. So that's another important part.
And also because simply on our property there is no view to the north, we'll be literally looking out a window into a hillside, you know, and there we can go outside and go look at that hillside if we have to, but I think it's better to protect the house from those cold winds during the winter for heating reasons. We also picked a certain area upon the property that's going to allow for drainage. The water's not going to settle underneath our house. It's not a low spot. It's kind of on a slope on the side of the hill. But it's the widest contour line on the property, so there will be very little slope, but it's about midpoint from the tallest point on the property to the lowest point. So water will go past the house and settle elsewhere. And with the tools of building swales and berms up slope, it will keep the water from percolating, settling near the house, the structure. So that's one of the reasons why we put it at that midpoint and not exactly up on the top, to avoid lightning strikes and all that good stuff. Also, you know, you don't want to be on the very top of the hill either.
Yeah, and that another piece to that was that the property line is actually, one of the property lines is actually pretty much on the top of the hill, and we need to stay away from property lines. That's just, when you have almost 40 acres, you don't want to build right next to a property line, and it's against the codes anyway. So, and then also we're maximizing our views by the place that we chose to build the house. Our views are predominantly to the south and to the east, and so, and there is some to the, let's see, there's a little bit to the north, but
A little bit to the north.
Yeah, but mostly to the south and to the east. So the way you'll see here that the house is oriented is that the windowed side and the living area sides, you know, family room, kitchen, and those areas are going to face those areas that have views.
If you're familiar with permaculture, you know about zones, right? Zone 1 would be your house. Zone 2 would be your garden area, and Zone 2, Zone 3 would be like your chickens and stuff like this. And we have pets also. So I was getting to thinking, do we really want to put a fence around the house, that close to the house, around our Zone 2? And I was saying, no way. So I was like, what's the alternative? We put the Zone 2 inside the perimeter of the house instead. So we are going to incorporate 2 interconnecting courtyards that will allow the dogs to run around the property, but inside the property it'll be barricaded by walls and structures that are in the blueprints that you can see. And the entire inner core will be a garden zone. So we can grow trees there, we can grow our vegetables and all that. It will be protected from the deer, from the javelina, from the yawar, from most things but insects, probably, is what I'm getting at. And our dogs will be able to protect basically the interior perimeter, and they'll be able to go from one end of the house to the other end and still be contained within a wall. So it's protecting the dogs. It's protecting our food source, and it also enables us to be nice and close for when it comes to watering plants. We won't have to go outside the house and go wandering down around the chickens to water trees and plants, because that'll be all inside our courtyards. Plus, courtyards are just beautiful and awesome.
Yeah, and especially down there, we really are excited about taking advantage of the indoor-outdoor living kind of situation. We love warm weather, and, you know, living here in Denver, like last night it dipped down to 16 degrees, and that's after having some 70-degree days, and it's kind of cruel. So we're really looking forward to that outdoor-indoor living space, and that's going to be a big part of how we do things.
We're actually even going to put in that interior courtyard a outside shower. So stay tuned for that one when we actually get to building it.
Yep. So you're seeing in these plans that we've drawn up that, well, first of all, we did a video a little while back, and we'll link the link to it above. We were kind of trying to decide if we should have a cistern inside of a utility shed, kind of a solar utility shed, and we thought we could build the cistern inside of it, but we weren't really sure. we've done more research, and then we got actually a lot of feedback from you guys on we shouldn't do that. So we're not going to be doing that, and it's not necessary for where we're going to be at. So we decided to go ahead and have the cisterns. We'll have several cisterns, but they'll be outside of any structures. They'll be freestanding, and you'll see that in the plans here as we go along in the movie.
So when we do get started building our structure, it seems intimidating, right? Looking at this entire blueprint as a whole. But when we first start building, we are not going to do the entire building all at once. We are going to start with a tool shed, like we mentioned earlier in another video. And we're going to build a cistern, and we're going to work on the guest house first, which is all on the west side of the blueprints that I drew. When we get those three things done, we can actually take all of our stuff out of storage, which we were paying for monthly right now. We can U-haul it down there and put it into the guest house as a storeroom while we're working on the rest of the house, and we can live in our camper during that time. So it's not all going to be done at once.
Yeah.
Those are the first three structures we plan on building out of this. It seems big, but it's not going to be as big as it looks, okay?
So as you're looking at what Doug has drawn up here, it doesn't include any windows, and it doesn't include if we decide to do any trellis style walkways, because we were talking about how the zone 2 garden area that's kind of worked through the house, it's going to be open. There won't be a roof over that. So we may need to do some covered walkways, just, for weather reasons and things, when we need to move from one part of the house to the other part of the house where it's not connected.
Yeah. And also, if you look at the structure on the blueprints, all the roofs are going to be concaved or facing inward towards the courtyard in the center of the structures.
Sloped in.
They're going to be sloped in. So it's not like it's going to be easy access from the outside of the perimeter to jump up on the roof and just climb into the courtyard. It's actually going to be, the high points are going to be on the outside of the wall, and the low spots will be inside of the courtyard. So all water will drain towards the center and fill our cisterns and irrigate the courtyard where the plants and raised beds.
So Doug and I have talked quite a bit about heating and cooling and what that's going to look like for us being off grid and living off of solar. And we're not really going to go into that in this video. That will be for a different video, because we actually haven't really made up our minds on how we want to do that. So
yeah, if you look at these blueprints, they're separate buildings. They're not just one big building sharing one big roof. It's actually 4 different structures with 4 different roofs, all right? One of the structures actually has a continual roof that's pretty big. And then the other 3 structures, one's going to be a beehive, which probably won't have a conventional roof. And the other 2 structures will have roofs on them. But the way that this is designed is that we can, when we get there, we can actually raise 1/2 of the structures to match the contour of the land. So if we get there and the slope's a lot steeper than we think it's going to be, those back buildings where the guest house is, the cisterns, and the workout room and all that stuff in the bedroom can all be up higher, and the courtyard could be terraced down a little bit lower, and then the kitchen, dining room, living room can be terraced even lower than that if our slope is, like this. So that's just, it's a pretty fluid plan, and it can go with the features, geographical features of our land. It can go along with the contour. Now we're going to talk about separate individual rooms, kind of what our wish list is, kind of.
So one of the things on our wish list was having a guest house and also a tool shed. And both those things are really for practical reasons. We knew we wanted a guest house from the start because we want to have guests. We want our kids to come visit and our family and things like that. But we also knew that we wanted a tool shed, like Doug talked about earlier, so that we have a place to keep our tools that's secure. We won't be living on the property right off the bat because we will have to put in some infrastructure first. So we're going to have to put in a cistern because we won't have never-ending water in our tiny trailer. So that's something that we're going to have to start off with.
Yeah, and the guest house and the tool shed are going to have some pretty serious locks on them so that we can leave the property and feel kind of secure that all of our cement mixers and our rakes and our tools and shovels and jackhammers and all that stuff is all locked up there. And if we bring our stuff down from Colorado and store it in the guest house, then that can be locked up too, so we don't have to pay for storage anymore.
Yeah.
But the cistern's also going to be super important to get going right away, especially because we're going to be there during the monsoon season. We want to see how much water we can collect this season. We're really going to be coming in at a bad time to start building, but it's a good time if you are into permaculture and you're looking at the way the water flows across the land and stuff. That's really why I want to be there during the wet season. I want to be there to look at how our water is flowing, where those washes, how the water is interacting with the land, and you can't do that when it's dry and no rain. Let's talk about the living room now.
Yeah, so the living room is going to be on the south, or wait, no, it's on
the
east side of the house. He's more familiar with the floor plan than I am, but the living room will be on the east side of the house, and it will be attached to the dining room and then the kitchen. So those areas will kind of all be view areas, and those things aren't as important to build as quickly, I think, as the guest house. Probably work on the kitchen before we work on the living room, I would think.
But part of the thing I like about the living room is I have opening doors to the courtyard to the east, and then if you turn around and you look to the west, you can look completely up straight through the courtyard that goes between our buildings and up into where we're going to keep our goats and our chickens way up on the hill. So it'll be like this view, and the sunset will come down and it will fill up that courtyard, but the living room will still be kind of shaded during that hot time of the night. Not night, but
End of the day.
3 to 5 o'clock is sometimes some of your hottest, and that's going to be when it's going to be cool in the living room.
Yeah, that's important for sure. Another thing that was important to me was having a large walk-in pantry. The house that we live in right now it's pretty small, and it doesn't have a lot of storage. It doesn't really have an official pantry, and that's something that I always have wanted. And we're planning on preserving a lot of food. So we're planning on having, long-term food storage in there, and we just think it'd be really convenient to have that pantry just be attached kind of to the kitchen, just right off the kitchen. So as you're cooking or working in the kitchen, it's really easy to access that pantry.
Yeah, fermentation, pickling, all drying meats, curing meats, all that good stuff could be all done in that room. And if we're really ambitious, we can dig down beneath that and maybe make a root cellar or something like that.
Yeah.
But we're not going to have any windows in this room, so I'm kind of hoping that if we keep the doors shut, it'll kind of maintain a cool temperature in there anyways, or a moderate temperature at least. Almost parallel with the pantry, and it's not intentional, it's just a place that we could fit it, and it'll be along that main wall where we'll be running our utilities through. Water will be going through there, all that good stuff. But it'll be a solar room basically. It'll be solar, and
all the batteries,
all the stuff you don't want to see will be in that utility room. But we just put it where it could fit for right now. We might move that anyhow. Yeah,
the other thing that was on our wish list was having like an office area a workout area. And we have workout stuff set up here at our house. It's out in our garage, right out there. And we're taking that with us. So we anticipate that while we're working on the house, we're probably not really going to need to work out at all. But when we're done, as we age, we want to keep that muscle tone going. And we also want an office kind of area because we do plan on starting some businesses. We're not going to be able to not work at some point. We're going to have to work doing something. And our hope is, being entrepreneurial, that we have some businesses going, and then we can have that workout area kind of combined with some office area.
Yeah, and it's also where we're going to fit our bathroom. I mean, it will be, we tried to keep it as close to the master bedroom as we could in the living room and the office spaces. And the guest house will have its own compost toilet, obviously, and even the master bedroom will have its own compost toilet in there. But we wanted the bathrooms kind of be somewhere in a decent location. But like she was talking earlier, you have to go into the courtyard to get to it. So we are thinking about putting some kind of trellis or something over top of it to, just kind of...
If it's pouring rain or something.
Yeah.
Which
just
happens.
Keep you from the elements a little bit.
Yeah. So as you can see on the plans, the greenhouse is on the south side of the building, and it's going to be pretty good size. And we really want that to be kind of our kitchen garden area and where we start plants and where we grow things during the winter. I think there's 2 months, maybe 3 months in the winter there where it's difficult to grow because it could drop below freezing. Not significantly cold, but it can get below freezing. So that stuff will go in the greenhouse, and then we'll take full advantage of that southern exposure on that side of the house with that greenhouse.
Yeah, and I kind of imagine like sitting in the kitchen working and looking out the little window, and the window would just be filled with green plants and stuff. That's kind of like my dream kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
And the way that we design it is there'd be a wall that would be on the backdrop of that greenhouse, so hopefully all that solar energy gets stored on that wall and releases it at night so that you don't have any serious frost or anything like that. But it's a standard greenhouse. I was looking at maybe 14 feet wide and the entire length of the building. Haven't figured out if we want to go ahead and buy that clear plastic corrugated type of to encapsulate the whole thing, or if we're going to just do cheap plastic stapled to some sticks for at first. We don't know what we're doing yet for that as it pertains to that, if we want to put a lot of money into the greenhouse or if we just want to keep it moderate for now.
But if you have recommendations, if you live in Cochise County or an environment like that, like Southeast Arizona, and you have recommendations, by all means, put it in the comments. We'd appreciate it.
And we definitely know that plastic and sun does not mix too well. So if we had to go with the glass thing, that might be something we have to put back to the very end of the build at least and see what our budget is. But that'd be definitely on our dream list, is to have a nice continual greenhouse going on the end.
Yeah.
We're just throwing darts at the wall and showing you like, this is the room I want, this is the room I want, but it doesn't mean we're getting it, guys.
Yeah.
We're just wishing. All right, and so we're going to talk one last thing. We kind of briefly talked about the courtyards, but I kind of look at these old houses in Spain and in Mexico. They have these beautiful courtyards, raised beds, pottery in there, tiled stuff. It's nice and lush plants, trees, all this. I can imagine some palm trees and stuff like that growing in there. But yeah, it's going to be easy to maintain. It'll be some nice place you can put some lounge chairs at, and you'll have plenty of places or options where you can sit in the shade or you can sit in the sun. But maybe some water features in the future. But mainly just protect our dogs and make us happy by being outside and getting some of those rays.
Yeah.
And if any of you are a blacksmith, we might hit you up on making some cast iron gates, because we're going to need 4 of them. Eventually, I counted, there's 4 gates entering these courtyards. So I don't know, let us know in the message below if you know any contacts that'll do some wrought iron gates for us with some hinges and locks.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed this and kind of got an idea of what direction we're going in. We're pretty excited about all this, and we'll keep you posted. We're packing up our house. It's going to go on the market in just a few weeks.
Super busy.
Yeah, we're super busy, so the videos may have dropped off a little bit, but we'll keep you posted on everything, and we appreciate you tuning in today.
Yep.
See you soon.
See you guys.